You know, when Charlie died, it wasn't possible for all of you to be there, and some of you were, but I just wanted this time so that you could share some stories about Charlie, and already we've shared some of them, and that's wonderful. And Joe gave a prayer at the service, but Joe didn't get to say we didn't have time, or they just didn't allow us. I don't know how it happened, Joe, but we didn't get to do our thing, did we? So,
no. Well,
so
the
I wanted
Presbyterians are a little like that. They're a little jealous when the new person comes along, and I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it too. But by damn tonight we gonna do it, aren't we? Do it. Yeah. So Joe is, you know, I hope some of you will tell us some of your stories. But I asked Joe to get us started tonight because we just needed, Joe and I, we both needed this, didn't we, Joe?
We did. We needed that.
We've done it a few times, so we worked together. So.
I have to tell you, I follow in the great tradition of Jim Travis, and I'm gonna stand up.
So Jim is, but they've both become very special to me, so he is going to say our blessings.
Thank you.
In true clergy fashion, I must stand. Don't pray much sitting down except early in the morning. And this is what I've been listening to. The things that we've shared here, it's almost as though prayers have been uttered already. So let this be a time of thanksgiving. Lord, you grace us in so many ways. And for this occasion, when we remember and commemorate and celebrate the life of Charles Hammond, with these friends, colleagues, folks who've known him for many, many years, we ask that you would bless this occasion, let the food nourish us, even as our interactions with each other nourish each other in spirit. So guide us each day in the kind of work, whatever we are called to, little or big, that would honor you and follow in the footsteps of those who've gone before. In your name and for our sake. Amen.
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 I just have to say that Charlie Hammond was one of the most incredibly authentic people I ever knew. I mean, what you saw was what you got. There was no fault. You know, Charlie Hammond was probably the most renowned OBGYN doctor, not at Duke, not just in the United States, but around the world.
I think you're right.
But you know, you would have never gotten that from him. He would have never said anything about that. You had to ask him what he had done, you know, and all. It was really wonderful. And the other thing I want to say is, mine's almost gone now, but he made the best martini. I was always happy to go to the Hammond's home for dinner and for their fellowship. But boy, did I love the martini. Charlie was on his game when he did that. But I have to tell you one story. I have a couple of things to say. And Peggy reminded me that retired ministers should be a little brief and not go on too long.
Right,
you know, you don't have a conversation.
I hope you listen.
And Carlisle will remind me of that also. So anyway, I came to Durham in 1980. And about 1983, Durham elected a mayor called Will Gully. Some of you may remember Will Gully. Will Gully was a wonderful young guy, kind of progressive, kind of started changing the nature of Durham in a really wonderful way. Well, Will issued a proclamation, which was a proclamation that was always issued every year supporting civil rights. Well, everybody, you know, there were a lot of African Americans in Durham, so that was a very popular thing. But when he came in, he added to the list of people whose civil rights should be protected, the gay and lesbian community. Well, when he did that, all hell broke loose. A lot of people got upset and angry. I remember I walked out to the driveway at my home and picked up the Herald Sun one day, and I opened it up and read the headline and said, "Religious leaders oppose mayor's proclamation on gays and lesbians." And I thought, wait a minute, I'm a religious leader. I don't oppose that. So I called my friend John Friedman, who's a rabbi here in town. I called the African American bishop, and we kind of got a coalition together, and we started fighting for the rights for the mayor. And they were trying to recall the mayor. That was the deal. So we started saying, no, this is not right. This is the right thing to do. Well, I'm a young pastor at First Presbyterian Church. I don't know, my feet on the ground. I'm thinking, what the heck's going to happen to me? They may call me up and tell me they want me to move to somewhere else and all. And Charlie Hammond was chair of the personnel committee. I'll never forget it. If I live to be 1,000, I'll never forget it. One day I got a telephone call and the secretary said, "Dr. Hammond is on the phone and would like to talk to you." You probably did this call. Anyway,
Yeah, probably passed.
Anyway, I said, "Oh my God, he's chair of the personnel committee. What's going to go on?" Joe, Charlie Hammond. I said, "Hey Charlie, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing fine." He said, "I've got something I want to talk to you about." I said, "Yes." He said, "I've been watching what's going on, all the press, publicity, the TV story about you, what y'all are doing." He said, I thought, "Oh my God, here it comes today." He said, "I just want you to know we have your back."
Have your back.
Ooh.
Your back.
Right?
Wow.
You're doing the right thing and we have your back. God, what a gift that was to me. What a gift that was to this community, because he had our back. It was wonderful. The other thing, before I go too long and Peggy pulls my sleeve if somebody's trying to say,
Go for it.
I have to say that there was another side to him that I think y'all need to know, and that is the man understood what it meant to be grateful. This is something that I will treasure until I die. It's a card. You see it's from Charles Hammond, Charles B. Hammond, MD. "Dear Carlisle and Joe, thanks for all you do for us." And then he went on to talk about things I'd done for him in helping to prepare the house at the lake to be sold, but just how much Carlisle and I meant to him. I mean, he was a world-class doctor writing me a note telling me how much he appreciated. He got it. The essence of the good life is to be grateful.
Yes.
He was grateful.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's right. We're grateful. I hadn't planned to say this tonight, but in addition to what Joe says, I can remember one of the stories and Pat will probably remember this, but Charlie was taking care of patients, of course, and the powers that be at Duke had someone who was a big donor coming in that they wanted him to take care of it. He said sure, he would be glad to. And so when that person was in the room and they came in to work him up, one of the African American students went in, or a resident or intern, I don't know. And then and introduced himself, and when he left, that patient's family got in touch with Charlie and said, "We appreciate your taking care of us. We know that you're doing us a favor, but this is not going to work." And Charlie said, he said, "I'll take care of it." And he went to the powers that be, and he says, "I will not take care of a patient." Look at Pat nodding her head. "I will not take care of a patient who won't be seen by anyone on my staff." And he said, so if that is the case, then they will need to get taken care of somewhere else. And that was a biggie.
Yeah.
That was. I love it. hadn't forgotten that story until today. Somehow I was thinking about that story. And
For how many years?
Well, I kind of came late to the game. Charlie was still working, but heading toward retirement. I came here 30 years ago to Durham, and shortly thereafter, I didn't know many people in Durham, but I remember that Chucky Hammond was a camper at the summer camp where I was a counselor. And somebody brought me up to date and said, "Oh yeah, well his parents still live here." And Bob was a doctor. I said, "Yeah, I know all that." And they go to First Presbyterian. And I just picked up the phone and called. And Charlie answered the phone. And I introduced myself, and he said, well, in his very methodical, slow voice, said, "Well, it's nice that you called." He said, "We'd love to have you over sometime." He said, "What do you like to drink?" And I said, "Scotch." He goes, "I like you already." And that spawned a great friendship. And Sharon I knew also from summer camp days, and
Sharon was a character.
Sharon was brilliant.
Oh, yes. We quote Sharon a lot.
well, we do, don't we?
Remember when Big Star and Harris Teeter came and they were side by side she called them Big Teeter.
Only Sharon.
Well, Pat, I want to hear some of your stories. I bet you got stories that you could write a book.
They're the lock and key.
I don't really have stories as much as just memories, and I just, I mean, he was a classy man. That's just, he was a classic Southern gentleman.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was very kind. He appreciated anything you did for him, and he told you that he appreciated it. And he just, you know, I came to Duke in 1975. I was hired to work for John Rampone, who had a brain aneurysm right before I came, and was out on extended leave. And so the day I got there, they said, "Well, unfortunately, we don't really have a job for you right now, but we'll find something for you to do." And then they brought me in a stack of tapes, and they said, "Here, why don't you work on Dr. Hammond's dictation?" So that's what I did the first day at Duke, and it went on from there. It was great. It's a good run, and now I work for Peggy. So not only did I have a wonderful boss, but I have a second family, and I've always felt part of the family. And Peggy and I are friends now. And during COVID lockdown, we got our hair done together because Pam couldn't go at my house because Pam couldn't go into Croasdale, so Peggy would come to my house and I didn't get my nails done. So we got our hair done.
I think one of the things I admire the most when I think about Charlie was what a keen listener he was, and when you were in his presence, you were really important, and he gave you his undivided attention, and he asked probing questions, and you could tell he was curious about other people and interested in others.
He told me one time after an interview with someone, he said, you know,
I'm sorry, Pat, I can't hear you. What you saying?
he had an interview with someone for one of the business manager positions, and we were talked about the person after, and he said, you know, the qualifications were good, but she wouldn't make eye contact with me, and that really bothers me.
Yeah.
And she didn't get the job. Yeah.
And she what?
She wouldn't look at it. She wouldn't make eye contact with me.
So she didn't get hired? Okay.
Well-
Don't you have something you were going to read from?
Oh yeah, you asked me. You asked me.
Well, I think when the story is told, Duke University and Duke Medical Center, Charles Hammond, who grew up in Athens, Georgia, went to the Citadel, had South Carolina and Georgia back, did more to make Duke Medical Center a more diverse place.
Yes.
And then that was big in his book. I mean, he wanted to have people of color. And Peggy told the story about the person that he thought, well, if you can't be served by one of my residents, then you can't be served here. That was his spirit. I mean, he was not belligerent. He was not waving banners or anything. He was just steady. steadily committed to making the world a more just,
A better place.
best place. We need more Chuck Hammond.
Yes, we do.
That's what I just tell you.
So, today is the anniversary of Charlie's death. Scarlett O'Hara and I are gonna throw away the black mourning clothes, and we're coming out with hot pink.
All right, you go, girl.
So, and I think that's probably what Charlie would want me to do.
Yes,
I really do.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I tried and tried. What story would I tell that would be typical of Charlie? And there were just so many stories. I mean, there are just so many stories. Some of them I've shared tonight while we've just been talking, you know, here, talking amongst ourselves, as you would say. But Charlie will be remembered for the many accomplishments that he had. And that's the way he should be remembered. But the Charlie I knew accomplished, I'm gonna cry, y'all.
It's okay.
ahead.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Go ahead.
You're in safe company here.
Uh-huh.
He accomplished so many things quietly and privately without wanting or needing recognition. And so my story is the story of the night, the day that Charlie spent in the waiting room while I was having surgery. And there was a man there sitting with him whose wife was also having surgery. And then later on, and of course they talked and got to know each other.
Yeah.
Later on, Charlie got this note back from him. Dr. Hammond, you probably don't remember me, but we met at Duke while our wives were having surgery. I was told by several doctors the next day that you were a giant in your field. I count it as another one of my Forrest Gump moments when I meet an amazing person and only find out later how amazing they really are. Talking with you relieved my fears and concerns, and I owe you a debt of gratitude. My wife is fully recovered, and I hope yours is. And Lucky Girl is next on my reading list.
All right.
Yeah, Sharon's book.
And y'all, I swear this is the truth. When I was writing this part right here, 3 bluebirds came on my deck and perched on the rail and sort of looked in at me. And I swear, you know, God be my witness, this really happened. You know, Sharon did the owl thing. I mean, there were the owls everywhere. Today I saw bluebirds. And I thought, those may be the bluebirds of happiness. I think so. And I think they probably were.
I love that.
And
He'll send the
then
signs.
I
He'll
would
send the
say,
signs.
let's go with that, okay?
Oh, thank you so much.
As I left the hospital the day that Charlie died, I told him that it was time for me to leave. And he said, you can't go. And I said, well, I have to go. I've been here all day. I said, I've been here 8 hours. He said, you just can't go. And I said, well, why? And he said, because if you go, you're going to be committing mutiny. I said, mutiny? And he said, yeah. And so I laughed at him. And I said, so I wonder now, did Charlie know something that I didn't know? Because I had said to him, I said, I'll be here tomorrow to take you home, because I thought that was what was going to happen. So did he know something that we didn't know? Or was that his weird, wonderful sense of humor that we all knew and loved? So, thank you. That's it.
That's beautiful.
Well, you know what? But you know what comes through in all of this is how this really famous man, and he would be embarrassed for us to say how famous he was in one. He was so humble. He was so down to earth.
Gift from God.
He was really something. He made us all feel like we were part of his family. And that was beautiful. Thank you, Peggy, for making this evening possible.
Oh, boy. What a wonderful
Thank you
evening.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I wish I could have stood up and said what I think about each and every one of you. But there's
Well, I'm
not
glad
that
you
much.
did.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Thank God.
Keep it. Never mind.
There's not that much time, and I think you all know.
We know. We know.
What I feel about you. I think you do.
We know.
We're a lucky dozen here.
Yeah, we know. We know.
But I want to say also one other thing that I think I'm speaking. I don't have the authority to speak for Charlie Hammond, but I think he would be very happy that you found such a distinguished, wonderful guy to share you like that. I'm serious.
I called him brave. You gotta be brave. You gotta be
He
brave.
is brave.
He is.
He's a brave
Oh
man.
man, he's a brave man to take you on.
That's what I was talking. I didn't say that part. I just said I left it brave.
I will say it's great to be with everyone. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Wonderful evening.
God love